Synopsis for the Vanae project. Name presently unknown. The story of a king as told by a 85-year-old man of whom I have not chosen yet. And he's doing a voiceover. The video will be approximately 5 minutes long. The music has already been chosen. And this is the synopsis. There's a kingdom which finds itself at the junction of 4 kingdoms. And these other 4 kingdoms like to trade between each other, but in order to trade, they have to pass through the central kingdom. The central kingdom collects trade tariffs, taxes from each of these trading partners, the kings of the south, east, and west. So they pass through this central kingdom, and if they do not pay the taxes, the trade tariffs, etc., they are not allowed through. This causes a lot of strife, and the central kingdom is more or less a warrior kingdom. As soon as the child turns 4, rather female and male, they're trained in the art of war in order to maintain this kingdom and keep it going. The kingdoms of the east, west, north, and south see this as a very valuable territory and concentrate on occasion attacks against the central kingdom. The central character. I have not chosen a name yet. The king, who's in a constant state of war, is very much loved and appreciated by his people because he has never been defeated in battle, as the kings before him have never been defeated as well. And one day the king of the north attacked the central kingdom, so the king of the central kingdom rode off to attack the king of the north, or the kingdoms of the north. And their attacks usually occur during bad weather times, storms, heavy rainstorms, thunder and lightning, to add to the dramatic effect of their attacks and to bring fear on the other kingdoms, because as soon as they seen the dark clouds coming, they knew what was going to happen. So after the king of the north challenged the central kingdom, the king of the central kingdom rode off with his army to attack the king of the north. It was during a pitched battle and a breach of the walls of the king of the north that the central king received what appeared to be a fatal arrow in the back. The army withdrew back to the central kingdom. It was during his time of recovery from his wound that he decided to visit the treasury where the pillaged objects of the northern kingdom were being kept, along with other objects that were taken that would eventually be distributed to the people, except for artifacts. It was while in this tomb, or where they held their treasure, that the king discovered that they had taken with them a number of books and manuscripts written in leather.
Okay, this place here,
and as he read them, it told the tale of a empress from a kingdom across the ocean. And as he begins to read more and more about this empress, he becomes fascinated by her, to the point where she is his all-consuming thought. And the members of the king's court notice that the king is now completely distracted and lost in thought frequently. They see this as a downside and possible destructive side to the kingdom, and they decide to plot a way to get rid of the king by killing him. But the king's uncle, who was a member of the court as well, decides that they should give this king an opportunity to escape his own death, because if it was ever discovered by the people that the members of the court had killed their favorite king, they suspected martyrdom and possible riot and division within the kingdom, causing its downfall. So the king's uncle approached the king and suggested to him that he go on a journey to find this empress across the seas. The king agrees, because it was a thought in his mind as well. He puts out a request to the members of his army that he needs volunteers only to go across the seas to search an empire for a particular empress. The entire army volunteers to travel with their king, as they are completely loyal to him. But the king doesn't want the entire army. He only takes 200 of his best troops. They set sail, and this is where the story ends and the music begins. The narrator, an 85-year-old man, then says that as decades passed and the king did not return, the people speculated onto his fate. Some believed that he had died in the seas, maybe in a typhoon. Others speculated in the kingdom, others speculated that the king had been forced to fight another war when he reached the shore of the distant kingdoms across the seas, and that he had died in battle. But the 85-year-old man suggests that maybe the king found his happily ever after all. And at this point we break into the music, and we show that the king is on the seas, on his ships, traveling across the ocean, where he lands on the shore, and he meets a very friendly population. They set up with the king guides to guide him through the mountains to the kingdom where this legendary empress would be located. As the king proceeds through the mountains, he comes across a very fertile land with a lot of very happy people, because the kingdom has been in peace all its days. As he enters into this kingdom, he finds a castle of the empress, which is absolutely pristine. And the empress turns out to be not only what he imagined, but beyond that in her beauty and her grace and her elegance. The final scenes show the empress and the king embracing each other and becoming more and more increasing friends, to the point that they become lovers. The story ends and the music ends with an opening shot of an ancient graveyard from maybe 300-400 years ago, and it's all been lost to mankind's discovery, and it's overgrown with trees and bushes. But in the midst of it, there's a statue, a very large statue of the king embracing the empress. End of story.